is sitting in complete darkness. It's 80,000 BC. The sun went down 2 hours ago. There's no Netflix, there's no scrolling, there's no artificial light except the fire you're huddled around. There's just you, maybe 20 other people, the flames, and the sounds of things moving in the dark beyond the firelight. Things that would very much like to eat you. You can't read, you can't work, you can't really do anything productive by modern standards. But you're not sleeping. Not yet. It's only been dark for a couple of hours and nobody goes to sleep this early. So what do? What did humans do every single night for hundreds of thousands of years before electricity turned night into day? And somewhere in that darkness, around that fire, something happened that might be more important to human evolution than tool making, language, or even agriculture. This is the story of what ancient humans did at night. Not occasionally, not just sleeping, not the simplified version you learned in school. We're talking about the 12-hour period of darkness that dominated half of human existence for most of our history, and why those night hours might have shaped everything from our social structures to our imagination, our relationships, and even our brain development. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. The modern 8-hour sleep schedule is a recent invention. Ancient humans didn't sleep like we do. They didn't experience night like we do. And what they did instead might explain some of the deepest aspects of what makes us human. Let's start with fire. Because before you can do anything at night, you need to survive it. And fire changed everything about how humans experience darkness. The oldest confirmed evidence of controlled fire use dates back roughly 1 million years from sites like Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. But widespread, habitual use of fire as a nightly tool, appears around 400,000 years ago. Archaeologists found hearths at Terra Amata in France, Kesem Cave in Israel, and Zhoukoudian in China. Not random burns, deliberately constructed fire pits, used repeatedly, maintained carefully. These weren't just for warmth or cooking, these were social centers, gathering points, the original living rooms. Because here's what fire does. It extends the day. It creates a bubble of safety in the darkness. It turns night from pure survival mode into usable time. Dr. Polly Wiessner, an anthropologist at the University of Utah, spent years studying the hoansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last populations maintaining pre-agricultural lifeways. In 2014, she published research documenting what happens around fires at night. During the day, conversations were practical. Where's the water? What did you hunt? How do we solve this problem? At night, the content changed completely. 81% of nighttime conversation was storytelling, not practical information. Stories, myths, narratives about people who weren't present, events that happened long ago, things that might happen, things that never happened but illustrated important truths. This isn't unique to the hoansi. Wiessner found the same pattern documented in the Efe people of Central Africa, the Akta of the Philippines, and historical records of Aboriginal Australians. Every pre-industrial culture studied shows the same division: days for work, nights for stories. Think about that for a second. For hundreds of thousands of years, every single night, humans gathered in circles and told each other stories. Not occasionally, every night. This was the primary evening activity for most of human existence. And this wasn't entertainment in the modern sense. This was education, cultural transmission, moral instruction, history preservation, conflict resolution, social bonding. The elders who knew the most stories, who told them best, who remembered the important lessons, they had status. Knowledge wasn't written down, it was performed repeatedly around fires in the dark. But storytelling wasn't the only thing happening. Archaeological evidence from sites across Europe and Africa shows tool-making and craftwork continued at night near fires. Stone tool manufacturing debris found in concentrated areas around ancient hearths, bone needles, carved objects, processed materials, all showing evidence of firelight work. The light from a decent fire is enough to do detailed handwork, and if you're going to sit around anyway, listening to stories, your hands might as well be busy. This might explain the extraordinary craftsmanship found in some ancient artifacts. You have time. You have literally hours every single night with nothing else to do but work on that spear point, that carved bone, that woven basket. A modern person might spend 30 minutes on a hobby. An ancient human had 3 to 4 hours every night. But here's where it gets interesting. Ancient humans didn't sleep the way we do, at all. In the 1990s, historian Roger Ekirch published research that changed our understanding of pre-industrial sleep. He analyzed thousands of historical documents, diaries, court records, and literature before the 19th century. What he found? References everywhere to first sleep and second sleep. People didn't sleep for 8 consecutive hours. They slept in 2 distinct phases with a wakefulness period in between. First sleep started shortly after dark, maybe 2 hours after sunset. It lasted 3 to 4 hours. Then people woke up, naturally, fully awake, and they stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. What did they do? According to the historical records, talked, prayed, had sex, visited neighbors, smoked, contemplated their dreams, did light chores, stoked fires. Then they went back to sleep for another 3 to 4 hours until dawn. This wasn't insomnia. This wasn't a disorder. This was the normal human sleep pattern for most of history. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr conducted an experiment. He put people in darkness for 14 hours a day, mimicking natural winter night length. Within weeks, their sleep naturally segmented into the 2-phase pattern: first sleep, wake period, second sleep. This appears to be our biological default when we're not exposed to artificial light. So what did ancient humans do during that middle-of-the-night wake period? The darkness is different then. Quieter, more intimate. The fire has burned down to coals. You're not fully alert like during the evening. You're in a liminal state, between sleep and waking. Anthropological research suggests this was a particularly potent time for quiet conversation, intimacy, reflection, spiritual experience, and for sex. Historical records consistently note that the wake period between first and second sleep was a preferred time for sexual activity. This makes biological sense. You're rested from first sleep, you're relaxed, you're in bed already, there's nothing else to do. And unlike the evening when you're exhausted from the day, or morning when work beckons, this is genuinely free time. Some researchers have proposed that the 2-phase sleep pattern might have been crucial for human pair bonding and reproductive success. Now, let's talk about what else ancient humans were doing in the dark, because it's more diverse than you'd think. Some resources are only available at night: fish that come to shallow water, nocturnal animals, birds that nest at night. Archaeological evidence from coastal sites shows extensive fishing activity that could only have occurred at night, shellfish collection during low tides that happened after dark, fishing methods that work best at night with torches. The Acta people of the Philippines still practice traditional night hunting. Using firebrands in coordination, groups of hunters drive animals into positions where they can be speared or netted. This requires sophisticated coordination in darkness. Hand signals don't work. You communicate by sound, by memorized patterns, by understanding each other deeply enough to predict actions. That's not simple. That's advanced social cognition practiced repeatedly in challenging conditions. Ancient humans were expert astronomers, not because they had telescopes, but because they had thousands of hours of darkness with nothing else to do but look up. The night sky wasn't light polluted. On a clear night, you could see the Milky Way so bright it cast shadows. You could see thousands of stars, planets, meteor showers, the moon in all its phases, and you'd see it every night for years, decades, your entire life. You'd notice patterns: the stars that appear seasonally, the constellations that rotate through the year, the planets that move against the fixed stars, the moon cycle. This knowledge became navigation, calendar systems, agricultural timing, spiritual frameworks. The Aboriginal Australians developed astronomy so sophisticated they identified variable stars, stars that change brightness over time. They encoded this information in stories and oral traditions that modern astronomers have confirmed as accurate. The Polynesian navigators who settled the Pacific used star positions, ocean swells, cloud patterns, and bird behavior to navigate thousands of miles of open ocean. This knowledge was learned through countless nights of observation.
Anthropologist Brian Boyd has proposed that nighttime firelight gatherings were crucial for developing human empathy and social cohesion. In darkness, lit only by fire, you see faces differently. The flickering light emphasizes expressions. Eye contact is intensified. The circle is intimate. You can't leave easily. There's danger in the dark. You can't distract yourself with tasks. You're forced into sustained social interaction with your group. This is where disputes got resolved, where social bonds were reinforced, where the group negotiated its rules, its hierarchies, its relationships. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer groups show that nighttime is when important social decisions happen, not during the busy day. At night, around the fire, when there's time to talk things through. Darkness has been associated with spiritual experience across virtually every human culture. Many ancient ceremonial sites show evidence of nighttime use, alignments with stars, moon positions, orientations that only make sense in darkness. The caves of Lascaux, Chauvet, and Altamira, the famous painted caves of Europe, were deep underground. The paintings could only be viewed by firelight. The experience of seeing them was fundamentally about darkness and flame. Why paint in darkness? Why go deep into caves where no natural light reaches? Because darkness does something to human consciousness. The sensory deprivation, the firelight, the echoes, the isolation, it creates altered states. Shamanic practices across cultures consistently involve darkness, fire, rhythmic sound, and storytelling. These might be very ancient human experiences. Fires need maintenance. Every night, someone had to keep the fire going. In some groups, losing your fire could be catastrophic. You might not be able to easily create a new one. Firekeeping was a responsibility, often rotated, a reason to stay awake, to take shifts, to ensure the group's survival. And while you're tending the fire, you're also making things, sharpening tools, processing materials, crafting objects. The repetitive, meditative work of handcrafts done by firelight, night after night, might explain the extraordinary skill level of ancient artisans. When you have 1,000 plus hours per year of evening handwork time, you get very, very good at your craft. Here's where we arrive at the uncomfortable part of the story. Modern humans have essentially eliminated night. We have artificial light, we have screens, we have 24-hour schedules. We've turned night into day, and we've lost almost everything ancient humans did in darkness. We don't tell stories face to face for hours every night. We don't sit in circles. We don't experience true darkness. We don't have the two-phase sleep pattern. We don't stare at stars for thousands of hours. Instead, we have sleep disorders. We have screen addiction. We have social isolation despite being connected digitally. We have cultural knowledge stored in databases instead of in communal memory. The rates of insomnia in industrialized societies are remarkably high. Many sleep researchers now think that what we call middle-of-the-night insomnia, waking for 1 to 2 hours around 1 to 3 a.m., isn't a disorder at all. It's our biology trying to revert to the natural two-phase sleep pattern. But because we think we should sleep 8 consecutive hours, we panic. We think something's wrong. We take medication. We stare at screens. We reinforce the problem. If we simply accepted the wake period, rested quietly, maybe read by dim light, we'd probably fall back asleep naturally. We've also lost the social bonding that happened around fires. Yes, we have dinner parties, game nights, social gatherings, but how many involve hours of face-to-face storytelling with the same group repeatedly in conditions that demand genuine attention? The deep social knowledge that comes from spending thousands of hours in intimate firelight conversation with the same 20 to 50 people, we don't have that anymore. And we've lost the stars. Light pollution means most people living in cities can see maybe a dozen stars on a clear night. Our ancestors saw thousands. We've lost the rhythm of darkness and light. We've lost the intimacy of night. We've lost the productive use of evening hours for handcrafts and skill development. None of this is a moral judgment. Electric light is an incredible technology. Modern medicine, safety, and comfort are real benefits. But we've traded something for them, and it's worth knowing what we traded. So what did ancient humans do at night?
The honest answer is, they did the things that made them human. They gathered in circles around fire, the original social technology. They told stories that preserved culture, taught lessons, and built imagination. They worked on crafts with patient dedication. They bonded with their communities in ways we've largely forgotten. They had sex and intimate conversations in the quiet hours between sleeps. They watched the stars with an attention we can barely imagine. They experienced darkness, truly, in ways we never will. The night wasn't empty time. It wasn't wasted. It wasn't just waiting for morning. It was when human culture happened, when stories were born, when social bonds were forged, when knowledge was transmitted, when the imagination was fed. Some researchers argue that nighttime firelight gatherings were as important to human evolution as tool use or language. The capacity to sit together, share stories, coordinate socially, build culture, all of it practiced and reinforced every single night for hundreds of thousands of years. Our brains are shaped by this, our social instincts, our love of stories, our response to firelight and darkness, our sleep patterns, our need for intimate conversation. These aren't modern inventions, they're ancient adaptations to the rhythm of day and night. There's something profound about that. For all the things that separate modern humans from our ancestors, the electric light, the technology, the 24-hour days, there are these thin threads of continuity. The feeling of sitting around a campfire, the intimacy of conversation in dim light, the pull of a good story, the peace of waking quietly in the middle of the night, the wonder of a truly dark sky full of stars. Your ancestor sitting around a fire 80,000 years ago, listening to an elder tell the story of how the world began, is you sitting with friends around a backyard fire pit, sharing stories and laughing. The technology changed, the content changed, but that deep human need to gather in circles, in the dark, around light, and share our experiences, that was already ancient when anyone thought to write it down. Next time you can't sleep at 2 a.m., instead of panicking, maybe just rest quietly. You're experiencing the wake period between first and second sleep. You're doing what humans have always done. And next time you sit around a fire with people you care about, pay attention to what happens. Watch how faces look different in firelight, how stories emerge. You're participating in something far older than you realize. You're doing what humans have always done. You're spending the night the way we were meant to, together, in the dark, around the light. This is Marina Explains. If this changed how you think about nighttime, let me know in the comments. What's your favorite thing to do at night? See you in the next one.